Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's James. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to find and buy foreclosure homes. So before I get into this video, I need to talk to you about what a foreclosure actually is. So a foreclosure, that means, the lien holder, or most of the times the bank that has the lien on the property because the homeowner originally had a loan on the property, so the bank had a lien on it just in case, of course, if these homeowners didn't make their payments, the bank could take it back. So in most cases, the banks are taking back the homes whenever a foreclosure happens. And how foreclosures happens is, the owner doesn't make their payments, and so a bunch of notices happen, and then the bank is like, you know what, we have to forcibly remove you, and so they get, most of the times, the sheriff involved, and then they go and they forcibly remove the homeowner from their property. So now let's jump into what are the type of phases for a foreclosure. So there's the pre-foreclosure, there's the actual foreclosure, and then there is the after foreclosure, which I'll get into that a little bit more in detail because that's most of the times what happened. So a pre-foreclosure means the pre-foreclosure. So typically you can find this type of stuff out on Zillow.com, Redfin.com, Realtor.com. You can find some pre-foreclosure properties, and what that means is the bank or whoever has the lien on the property has given notice to these homeowners that, hey, we're going to foreclose on your home if you either don't come up with the payments in full, or they're actually going to foreclose on them and we're waiting on some legal things to happen. So sometimes that's great because you can negotiate with the actual homeowner to be like, hey, I will take this burden, this property off your hands if I pay you $100,000. And maybe they owe, $90,000 on this property. And so like, oh shoot, okay, I'll take that $10,000 to move out of this house because they're so stressed. They're like, I'll just take this little money and I'll just go live somewhere else. And now as the investor, this house is worth $150,000. So pre-foreclosures are good ways that you can get some good deals because the seller is motivated. Now the actual foreclosure process is most of the times the bank has already taken back the property and they're going to be selling this property to the highest bidder. And how they do that is you go to the courthouse, the steps of the courthouse, and it goes to the highest bidder. So typically how it works is the bank will start off the lowest. You're not going to buy a property for $1. So don't go into that thinking that. Typically a bank will go, they'll set the minimum bid as whatever the loan the homeowner has left on the property. So say they bought it for $100,000, they lived in it for a few years. Now the loan is $80,000. So the bid will start out at $80,000. If you're taking some sort of value out of this video, guys, hit that like button. I really appreciate it. It really tells people that this video is worth watching. And some people don't know about the homes that are actually being foreclosed on, so they don't even show up for the actual bidding. So sometimes you can get, maybe the bank is asking $80,000 as a minimum bid. Maybe you're the only one there, and you bid $80,005. So there you go. You just got a property for $80,005, and now it's worth whatever X amount of money. Now, some caution you want to take is whenever you're buying a foreclosed house, typically you cannot see inside the property before you buy the property. So that can be a little scary, especially if you don't have your profit margins high enough. And what I mean by that is, say you buy this foreclosure for $75,000 and it's worth $85,000. Well, you got a $10,000 profit margin. That's not a lot. Say if there's $30,000 worth of work inside this property, you're not making any money. You're upside down on the property now. But on the flip side, if you buy a property for $75,000 and it's worth $150,000, you got a pretty big profit margin right there. So maybe it does need $30,000 worth of work. Now you're all in at $105,000. The actual the property value is $150,000. You're still in a sweet spot. If you want to learn how to retire in real estate between 4 and 5 years, like I am doing, there's gonna be a guide down below, a free guide for you to download. You just download it and then you look over it, and it'll tell you step by step what you need to do to basically retire in 4 to 5 years, like I'm doing. And another warning is, most times it has to be all cash. So there are some ways around this that I want to teach you. So you might have heard of hard money lenders. This is where people, just people as in like you and me, they have this money and they want to lend it out to people at most of the times a high interest. But that's okay, I'm gonna teach you how to get around that. So what you do is you go to these hard lenders, be like, hey, I wanna buy this foreclosed property, it's worth X, Y, and Z, and I think I can buy it for $50,000 below the market value. So when you take this to the hard money lender, they might be like, okay, cool. And typically they'll give you 80% what the property is actually worth. So what I mean by that, and this is hard cash, this money right into your bank account. So they're gonna take 80% of $150,000. So they're gonna give you $120,000. Now let's just go back to my previous example. You need $75,000 to buy the property, $30,000 to put into it. You're $105,000 in, and this hard money lender has given you $120,000. You are not coming out of pocket for this property. You got all this money to buy the property, to renovate it, and then maybe flip it or just keep it as a rental. So what you're gonna do is in 6 to 12 months, you're gonna take this to a normal bank, refinance, pull out. Typically banks will do 80% of loan to value. So if it's worth $150,000, they're gonna be like, okay, cool. 80% of that, $120,000, we're gonna give you the $120,000. And then you take that money and pay off the hard money lender. Now you're in this property for $0 and you just scored a great deal and a low interest rate. So now you can rent out that property and make this cash flow. Now it's time for the more common one, which is REO, this is after the foreclosure process. So after the foreclosure happened, there wasn't anyone that bid it on the property. Now the bank owns it. So REO, real estate owned property. Now how you find foreclosures, REOs, most of the time, you can just have a real estate agent find these for you because they will be on the MLS. Now, if you follow me here on the channel, I teach you all about real estate, and I highly suggest you get in touch with a real estate agent because they have access to the MLS and they're free. If you're the buyer, you're free. So why not utilize them? And then you set up an automatic email listing and you're like, yeah, I want foreclosures hit my email inbox. I want REO properties hit my email inbox. So every time a property that in your area and it's a REO or foreclosure, you're gonna get the email and be like, cool, I know my numbers, I wanna buy that property. And subscribe to me here on this channel because I do teach you everything you need to know about real estate, and I do go deep into numbers so you don't have to worry about it and have analysis paralysis, so you don't get stuck in that phase. So subscribe to this channel. I really appreciate it, guys. Anyways, back to the REO, and this is how you just score great deals because it's kind of like the same foreclosure process in an REO bank. Is they'll list it with an agent, and then it goes on the market, and then you just buy it from the bank essentially. And again, warning. You typically cannot get inside these properties before you buy it. So you're buying it as is, and you're kind of taking the risk of buying a property that might need way more money than you thought. But a lot of times when it comes to REO properties, they hit the MLS. So everyone that is on the MLS looking for properties, they have access to this property too. So how I was going to do this video is, doing the finding process first and buying the process, but I kind of all jumbled it together. So I think you guys got a great idea on how to find the properties and how to buy these foreclosed homes, either the pre-foreclosure, the foreclosure, or the REO post-foreclosure process. So it's all kind of the same, right? So it's kind of all the same in regards to real estate. So just make an offer, they might accept it or they might counter it. Whenever it's the foreclosure process on the bank's steps, whenever you're bidding for it, it's not going to be, you make an offer and then the bank counters you with a higher offer. No, it's you against someone else. If someone else is there, like, I'll pay $100,000. Nope, I'll pay $105,000, etc. So it's all really the same process except for that foreclosure process. Also, guys, for REO properties, you can get in touch with just banks. Normal banks, they have an REO department. And so you can just make connections with them, and then whenever a property they take on, they might just send you an email like, hey, we got this property, do you want it? There's gonna be a video popping up over here talking about how to invest $5,000 into real estate. I can never remember which way it is. So whatever it is, just click on that video. It'll show you exactly how to buy real estate with $5,000. So be sure to go check out that video, guys. Until next time, I'm out.